What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some big news that came out over the weekend, what's happening with earnings that just came out, and what you should be watching for as time progresses going into tomorrow. Before I break any doubles information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moon, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, and the offer ends very soon, in just about 2 weeks from now. Anyways, now I want to talk about what's happening with the market, at least moving forward. So looking at the way that NIO is looking, we have a very, very nice looking structure right here as we're range bound. We had some big news that came out over the weekend. I want to focus a little bit on the news first before I break down this chart. I did mention in my video from yesterday that NIO could actually push a little bit higher towards the $5 area. Then we'll see if we get a rejection or not. As the last time we hit 5, we got a little rejection. Instead, what happened is we came just short of $5. We came just a little bit short, and we got a little rejection from open all the way back down to the 4.6 area. So this is establishing that NIO is range bound right now. We're actually stuck between our key EMAs. We'll have to be watching to see which way we break to determine a much bigger move. But anyways, like I said before, there's a lot of news that's been coming out. We had Jerome Powell give a speech today. He didn't really say much. He did mention that the Fed is going to cut rates before inflation reaches 2% because there's a lag effect in the way the economy reacts to these interest rates and the way in which they're kind of raised and cut. So he is implying that there will be a Fed cuts coming. They're going to cut rates eventually. We just don't know when, so we'll just have to wait and see. The market thinks it may happen as soon as September, but we'll see about that. On top of all of this, he also said it depends on a lot of different factors. Now, also over the weekend, guys, we had some, tragic news that happened. It was absolutely shameful. And I wanted to actually break this down just kind of briefly to talk about how this could affect the markets and how it's been affecting us. So, one thing I just want to say is that I wish the best for both sides of the political aisle, the left and the right, Democrats and Republicans alike. I just want to say that at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and no matter which side you're on, violence is never the answer. I want to just wish good health to former President Trump and also good health to Biden. I just want to say this in a very unbiased manner because I don't really want to talk too much about politics. I don't want to get too divisive and talk about any of that stuff that just gives us headaches. I just want to say this. We all want what's best for the country, and violence is just never the answer. So I'm very grateful that President Trump is well. I also wish the best for everyone out there, and I just want to say that this was absolutely tragic. This is something that should never ever happen, and we need to see a lot of these Secret Service members do a better job at protecting former presidents and keeping as many people safe as possible. So I wanted to just call that out. This was, in my opinion, a very important piece of news because the market did end up pumping upon open because of the fact that one of the reasons was because of the fact that former President Trump survived, which is very important, especially for the elections. The market pumped a bit. It also pumped approaching Jerome Powell's speech, but then once he started speaking, the market started dipping a bit. But like I said before, this was huge. This caused an interesting amount of volatility, especially for DJT and other stocks out there. And this will affect the entire election cycle, which could affect future policies of the country and a bunch of massive, massive things. But at the end of the day, guys, I just want to say that we're all humans here. We're all brothers and sisters. No matter how divided we are because of politics, violence is never the answer, and I just condemn that. I just want to wish good health to, once again, Trump and Biden. We just want to be as unbiased as possible, nonetheless. So hopefully we don't hear about any new news like this on both sides. I would just want the best for everyone. I just want to make that very, very clear. As far as NIO goes, NIO as a company on July 15th had its power swap station open, which is very, very important. This is actually the 49th power swap station in Europe and the 14th in Norway. So some very, very big news is coming out as they're continuing to grow. There's also some earnings that have come out, at least for the week. Just notes that today we just had First Bank announce their earnings, and tomorrow we have Bank of America and Morgan Stanley, not to mention Charles Schwab. We'll see what these big bank earnings kind of give us, may cause some high volatility. Goldman Sachs announced earnings in the morning. They actually did relatively well. They beat on income, fixed income. They beat on EPS and revenue, and they saw a lot of nice growth for the second quarter profit, jumping over 150% year over year. On top of this, we also had First Bank announce earnings. There was some good and some bad that came out. Net income increased by $40 million, which was good. Net interest margins improved 3.57%, and also EPS revenue were quite decent. However, the total deposits did decrease to about 10.47 billion from 10.5 billion, and other loans actually saw a little increases as well. So those are the non-performing loans I'm talking about. Not the best of news. So earnings, but more good than bad, I would say, for First Bank. Now, as far as NIO goes, there's a little bit more news that came out. We're actually seeing a lot of attention for the ET9, where NIO is once again displaying a lot of its capabilities. It's using high voltage architecture of 900 volts that break the industry upper limits, which has very, very nice looking systems to reduce weight, not to mention achieve lots of very, very cool things. It has a very, very important chassis that could be used for lots of adjustments and such. It also has very, very nice looking models for space and comfort and very, very cool designs. So they actually showed off the cool chassis and what it could really do. It could actually be used to shake off snow and also do very, very cool things. They also had like some soccer matches in the very, very top of it. It was kind of funny. So very, very cool stuff. They're just showing it in commemorance of what was going on with lots of big events over the weekend. So cool stuff. You guys could also see some talk about a new potential phone that could be coming out. We'll see about that, but it's getting a lot of attention. I think this is good news for them. Volume was at about 60 million. This is actually below a little bit above average. So not the best when it comes to high volume selling. Short volume is going up. Bank of America Securities gave NIO a neutral rating. The price price ratio is flattening as we're not really seeing much changing. And Tuesdays, however, are historically green about 55% of the time. Wednesdays as well. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays tends to be stronger days. So we'll see how things go. What do I see for the share price now? I just want to note that we're completely range bound right here. We're holding our 50 EMA as support. Watch 4.61 as support. If we lose this, we're going all the way down to 4.4. If we bounce off this, I think we're easily going back up to at least 4.75. And we also have this gap to fill above. So we're actually technically attempting to uptrend right here as we're making higher highs and higher lows. But NIO has to bounce off this support and test at least 4.75 tomorrow and even close above it. My gut is telling me that we're just getting tighter and we're going to be looking for a lot of consolidation before we see a much bigger move. So I think what's going to happen is this. We're going to see this little wedge form kind of like this. And I think that this may lead to some very, very interesting volatility. So you can actually draw the wedge kind of like this. You guys could see if we do get a bounce here, it does not necessarily mean that NIO is going to explode or anything, but it kind of implies to us that we might just see this get tighter and tighter, at least for the time being. And as we get tighter like this, we're going to be looking for a big move in either direction once we get a breakout. So that's all I'm seeing for NIO, some consolidation before anything else. However, for SPY, I'm seeing some signals that suggest that we're kind of trading sideways right now. We're not really officially breaking out or kind of dipping. We also kind of push in the after hours, but I think that we're kind of range trading right here, and we're going to be watching some key levels just to see if we're going to break down or not. So if we close below 560, there's going to be a risk of us dipping lower, especially 558.8 is going to be another support we're watching. If we break past 565, I think we're going all the way up to the high 560s to at least 568. Otherwise, we're just completely range bound right now. We're kind of indecisive. And I say that because if you look at the way we moved, okay, just check this out, guys. We saw some interesting price action where we kind of like pumped and then dumped, pumped and dumped, pumped and dumped, and then started pushing again in the after hours. So we're just going back and forth and back and forth. We'll be watching for a big move just to see. Tomorrow morning, we're going to likely pop it, but we'll see how we end up reacting to 563. If we reject, we'll be coming back down. My gut tells me it's just going to be range bound, at least for now. For Tesla, I'm just going to be kind of quick with this. Tesla might actually dip a little bit. I think we might rebound a little bit, and then we might come down to fill this gap at 248. So a little bit of weakness today. So I think it's going to dip a little bit lower, and then we'll see a bounce after that. So watch for that very carefully. For Nvda, it's the same thing. We have this high right here. We came down, we made a lower high. If we fail to hold 129, we're going to be dipping all the way down towards 125. We also have resistance around 131, so I do see a risk of us kind of rejecting. So watch for that very carefully. For Bitcoin, we're actually pushing up very nicely to about 64,000. We look more bullish in my personal opinion. Going to be looking for a test of 64,500. If that breaks, we're going up to 66,000. So I see a little bit more upside potential for the chart. For the QQQ, I'm in the middle with the QQQ right now. It's very indecisive. We were first looking like we wanted to go higher. Now we're just back. So basically, if we break past 500, we're going to remain bullish. We're easily going up to about 503. And if we reject and end up losing 495, we'll be dipping back down to 492, if not lower levels. So we're kind of in the middle right now. We dipped back down only to get back, bought back up. So we're just kind of consolidating. I think we're just going to get tighter as time goes on. So I'm not really expecting much until we see which way we end up breaking. But going into tomorrow, since we're green in the after hours, we might actually push a little bit higher, then come back down, just continue to trade sideways. I think that's all we're going to be doing for the time being until we get a big break in one direction. Apple's also consolidating at this 235 area. If we turn bearish, we're going to be dipping down to 230. If we're bullish, we're going to be looking for 238. We're still consolidating, going back and forth and back and forth. So I'm just going to wait. If we lose 233, it's going to be a dip coming. So I'll be very patient with that. Just a few more, guys. Supermicro is attempting to dip a bit. We're going to be watching 900 as resistance. If we break through this, I could be looking for a retest of 920 and just some more consolidation. The IWM Russell 2000 is looking more bullish. I could be looking for a push for 218 again. If that breaks, look for 220. Coinbase is also looking a little bit more bullish in the after hours. We did call out this breakout. Going to be looking for a test of about 250 very soon, so it looks a little bit more bullish to me. Amazon's in the middle, trying to push into after hours. We could retest 194, but if we do hit the 194s, we could reject and come back down to 192. So look for some consolidation. So we'll have to see how things go. For Meta is also kind of rejecting here. Look at resistance at 497. If we reject here, we'll be tipping all the way down towards 490, eventually 485, which is where our imbalance happens to be. But if we break past 497, we could try to rebound. That's going to be a very, very important resistance. Watch that carefully. If you hold below that, we remain bearish. So we're just barely at support right now. So give it some time. Meta is consolidating. I think we're just going to continue to consolidate below our 50 EMA around the 450 area. And then for Google, we could rebound a bit and retest 190, but we'll see if we get a rejection or not. It may attempt to hit the 190 area, and then we'll see what kind of move we get from there. So I see a little bit of upside potentially coming. GameStop is looking more bullish, trying to break out past 27. If we break through that, I think this imbalance will fill towards 28. And then AMC is looking a little bit more bullish. We have a nice uptrend right here. So if we manage to hold above our 20 EMA, we will continue to go higher. So if that breaks out, look for 5.4. With that being said, guys, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great day, but that's my quick update, at least for NIO stock. So as far as NIO goes, we're completely range bound. So I think what's going to happen is we're just going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Then we're going to be looking for a much bigger move later on. But that's all that's happening for now. So look for a little rebound and then some consolidation. And then we'll be looking for like a really big breakout eventually just to see what the big move is going to be. All right, that's it for the video. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a great day and peace out.